Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 25 of A View to a Kakuranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show, we share our thoughts with you, the listeners. My name is Matt J. With me, as always, is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, man. Took a little nap this afternoon. I'm not normally a Sunday afternoon nap sort of guy, but I took a nap. It was great.
Sounds great. Nice. It's a nice sort of cold but sunny day. So it kind of...
Yes!
Like, it feels like a sort of a comfy weekend day, but also it's a good time to, like, crawl under a blanket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's ideal nap weather.
Yeah, primo nap weather. It is also good sitting by the window with a cup of tea and playing Pokemon weather, which is what I was doing directly before we did this. It was a nice sort of lazy Sunday afternoon activity, Dave.
How many Pokemon are you catching from your, like, don't you need to walk around and get, like, isn't that the whole thing?
Oh, no. This is not Pokemon Go. I was playing Pokemon Sun, which is the,
right
3DS game.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, no.
Given the weather.
I was trying to play Pokemon Go by sitting in my house. That would not be super effective. Which is
I
a great
was
Pokemon
wondering,
joke, by
yeah.
the way. Anyway, Dave, we today are going to be watching episode 25 of Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. It is called It's a Departure, off the album Putting the Days to Bed by the Long Winters.
It is not?
It is not actually called
I'm going to
that.
guess?
It is called A New Departure, but I looked at that and I have been listening to a lot of back episodes of My Brother and Me. I looked at it and I thought, it's a departure off the album Putting the Days to Bed by the Long Winters, which, by the way, is an album that I have. It's a very good album. Anyway, actually, speaking of that song, Dave, do you want to know what our first star of the week is in our officially award-winning segment, The 5 Stars?
Yeah, man, hit me.
Shining in the Heavens, Dave, star number 1 is I got around to watching that My Brother and Me TV show.
Ooh, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, here, let me give you a quick recommendation. After we finish this, you should go watch it. It's very good. And
I mean, yeah, of course it is. It's great, I'm sure. Like, those dudes are hilarious.
And okay, so you can watch one of the episodes on YouTube, which is good because otherwise you have to, like, subscribe to CISO, which is not an expensive service. It's like $4 a month, so it's like one half Hulu, or maybe is it less than one half Hulu?
Dude, I don't know. Actually, it actually might be less. Hulu might be like $10 or $11 a month, but I already have like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime.
I know, so it's hard to rationalize, like, actually, like, attaching yet another streaming service.
Yeah, and it's just, and now I use, as we've discussed before, I do use the CW streaming app, which I hate, because, I know I've talked about it before, because there's commercials, but they've changed up their commercial tactics, Matt, and what they do now is there's a bunch of commercials, but like 75% of the commercials are ads for other CW shows. And it's like, CW, I'm watching your show on your app. You got me, bro. Like, I'm in. You don't need to tell me that the Flash exists. I'm watching the Green Arrow. Right. I get it.
Like, Flash has already been in this show. The Arrow is a very good commercial for the TV show The Flash. You don't need to use the commercial breaks in the Arrow to try to sell me on the other show.
Or they will put in commercials for Arrow while I'm already watching Arrow. Guys, I'm here. You got me. Like, there's just no... Anyways, So the My Brother and Me show is good. Unsurprisingly.
It is extremely good. It's weird because it is not good in the same way that I think of a TV show as being good, because it also doesn't really feel like their podcast. It just kind of feels like three like funny dudes got a camera and some budget and were able to just like goof around for a couple of days, which honestly, like, in a sort of different way, does capture one of the things I like so much about their podcast. But like, it's really great. But here is what CISO did to like snag me, okay? Because what you can do is you can go on, if you're in the States, I think CISO is always giving a like free 1 week trial.
Right on.
And the My Brother and Me show is only 6 episodes. It's like 6 half-hour episodes, right? And so I finished watching it in like 2 days. And then I had, another 5 days worth of free trial. I mean, I think I might have spread it out a little bit more just to like not burn through it. But in any case, like, I had already finished watching the show. And so I could then have just canceled my trial. But here's the problem, Dave, is the way they made that show, like, they planned out like the course of the episode, but each bit in it, I think, is just them like riffing and goofing around.
Okay.
And so they've got tons of like extra material from like other like goofs that they went on that never made it into the show. And so every day, CISO is giving you like an extra morsel of like additional content that wasn't on the TV show. And so there are 2 blooper reel episodes, each of which are like 15 minutes long. So like it adds up to like another full episode of this television show. And so I'm like, oh, this is great. Every day they're giving me like another like quick hit. And then I looked at my phone yesterday and it says, oh, thank you for subscribing to CISO. Like, thank you so much for your $4.
They gotcha.
They snagged me, and now I'm just stuck in there for a month, which honestly is not the worst case scenario, because they are very funny things there, but it was not how I sort of planned this on going down.
Right. And I'm sure the McElroy brothers will appreciate that old Super Sentai Brothers bump.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure that this will impact their numbers somehow.
Hey, listen, we podcasting brothers need to stick together.
I'm just imagining, sorry, I was laughing mostly at what you said, but then I was also laughing in my head at a picture that appeared of like an old-timey boxer, and then like a little kid like running up and being like, "You got it, champ!" And the boxer just being like, "Thanks, kid," as though, you see where I'm going with this?
Right.
I'm not explaining it super well.
Encouraging the champ.
Yeah, we're the small child. We're like, "You got it, guys!" And yeah.
That sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's perfect, actually. Thank you. So, Matt, what is our second star of the week?
Second star of the week, Dave, is Mage. Mage is coming back. And I know what you're thinking, Dave, that Mage is already back, because we already kickstarted the 20th anniversary of Mage the Ascension. But this is an entirely separate Mage thing that I'm very excited about. Dave, have you ever read Mage by Matt Wagner, the comic book series?
Is this like, it's a beard and he's got like a glowy baseball bat and he's like King Arthur, but maybe not?
Yeah, that is a very good description of it, actually.
Okay, the answer is no, I have not read it. I've read like a couple of pages because I like saw it in Borders one time, but I've never actually like sat down and read the whole thing.
Okay, here's the thing about Mage. Mage rules. Like, Mage...
I was going to say, my description of it sounded good.
Yeah, so the thing about Mage is that it is... When you start reading it, you're like, oh, this is a, like, 1980s, like, black and white boom indie comic, like, superhero thing. And then as you get... And, like, the first issue is okay. But Mage exists in like these weird arcs, right? Like, because the book, I think the book is about as old as I am. There are currently 30 issues of Mage ever made. Like, there are more years total? That Mage has existed than there are issues of Mage.
So he is on a less than once a year publication total.
Oh, dude, that's not even the way that it works, though. It's because he's doing it in volumes. So each of the first 2 volumes are 15 issues apiece. And so the first volume is Mage, the Hero Discovered. The second volume is Mage, the Hero Defined. And then the third volume, which is apparently finally coming out this summer, is Mage, the Hero Denied. But the first one came out in the 80s. And then there was 11 years. And then the next one came out. And then there was 17 years. And now the third one is coming out.
And what's the dude's name who does it?
Oh, this is Matt Wagner. And the thing about Mage is that it starts off as a superhero comic. And I'm sorry that I'm probably not doing a great job of describing Mage, but it's kind of a weird book. Because it's a superhero comic that is also a sort of exploration of Arthurian stuff.
Okay, well, I love King Arthur stuff.
And then in the second volume, it sort of expands out of that into sort of heroic legends in general.
Okay.
But the other thing about Mage is that it's also kind of this allegorical autobiography of Matt Wagner, the artist and writer of the book, to the point where Kevin Matchstick, the main character of the series.
That's a baller name. That's great. Awesome.
He's got a great look. His look is exactly Matt Wagner. Kevin Matchstick is Matt Wagner. He has his beard. He has his haircut. At the end of the second volume...
Does Matt Wagner work out a whole lot?
Okay, well, maybe he doesn't look... his face looks exactly like Matt Wagner.
Okay, got it.
Maybe Matt Wagner used to be in a lot better
Wagner.
shape in 1983. But by the time that the end of volume 2 came around, Matt Wagner had started to go bald, and so he had Kevin Matchstick get struck in the head with a lightning bolt and had all of his hair fall out so that he could continue to draw him to look exactly like him.
That's great.
It's very good. Dudes, if you can find it, and I imagine they're probably going to reissue it this summer when the third volume comes out. If you are not lucky like me to have just found a weird collection of it for $10 all combined at your local comic shop back in 2012. If you did not fall into that exact Venn diagram, which I think is just me, you should pick it up this summer when it comes out, because Mage rules, and I'm so excited.
Okay, well, I'm not going to, but I will borrow your copy.
That sounds fair. You, the listeners, probably can't borrow my copy because, you don't know where I live. Would be... But, it'll be out there.
If you do, don't tell us.
Yeah, don't tell me if you have somehow figured out where I live. Anyway, Dave, that is it for that star. I was just super excited about it.
So, Matt, what is our third star of the week?
The third star of the week, Dave, is another thing that has come back into my life that I'm very excited about. It's Borderlands 2.
I never played a lot of Borderlands 2.
Oh, dude, Borderlands 2 was great. Borderlands, the first one is fun, but Borderlands 2, not only is it a bigger, more developed, more expansive game, but it also kind of fixed some of the small problems that were in the first one. Just in, nice. Sort of, small, smart ways. But it is the free, Xbox Gold game this month.
Oh, sick.
And so,
yeah, dude, that is a service that is well worth paying for. I know that the PS Network or whatever is free, and I don't know if they also give out free games, but I always have made my money back, quote unquote, on that, just on free games every month.
Dude, it's great. And what's especially great about Borderlands 2 is that it's really fun to play multiplayer online with your friends. And so me and a couple of buddies of mine were sitting down and we thought, okay, we've been looking for a good game to play together. Borderlands 2 is a fun game to play together, and we all just got a free copy of it. So let's all sit down and play.
Nice.
Now, here were a few weird things that happened when we tried to do this. First of all, I discovered that the game data that I had saved while playing on someone else's Xbox 360 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
That save data still exists. And so when I booted up this game on my Xbox One, my old character showed up on the load screen. So that was very exciting.
Wow. Because that's very cool Also, maybe like the tiniest bit creepy.
Maybe a touch. But it's got all my guns. So I'm happy, like all my cool, weird, like not actually magic because that's not how this game works, but like they're basically magic guns. But the other thing is that like I realized that the reason all this stuff came back is because the version that was given out for the free game this year or this month rather, is the Xbox 360 version of this game, because this game came out on the 360 and also on the Xbox One, right?
Nice, yeah.
So to do the multiplayer, you can't like do the new and improved, like much improved version of like Xbox Live multiplayer that exists on Xbox One. You have to actually use the old like Xbox 360 way of doing it that you can only access inside the game while your system is emulating an Xbox 360.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
Which we could not figure out for an hour and a half. We were just like, we had scheduled out. Like, we're going to play video games together all morning. It's going to be great. And by the time we finally got it all figured out, people were like, man, I got to go. Like, I have lunch plans.
Oh, sorry,
and, like,
guys.
This is done now. Yeah, but it was great. So if you are willing to deal with like the horrors of like all of the weird idiosyncrasies of Xbox 360 that you thought you had left behind years ago, definitely go play that game, Xbox 360 or not. Borderlands 2 rules. Now, Dave, what is our fourth star of the week?
So, I just found out, Matt, this is crazy. So there's a new Mary Poppins movie coming out, which, okay, the cast is like Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel Miranda, both of whom I'm big fans of.
Right, and I think we've mentioned this briefly on the show before.
Yeah, we may have. But it was very weird to me that they were making a new Mary Poppins movie because, first of all, the first one starred Julie Andrews, the Julie Andrews, and, okay, Dick Van Dyke's accent was... It was a war crime.
It was monstrous.
That's, I think we can, yeah. But Dick Van Dyke himself was really fun in it. And the movie is not generously, is accurately described as practically perfect in every way. Like, the first Mary Poppins movie is really good.
Oh, it's great.
Like, I love this movie. And so they were like, oh, we're making a new one. I was like, oh, that's a little bit weird. Like, maybe I'll see it. You know, like, whatever.
Right, like, we don't need to reboot everything.
Yeah, exactly. Although I have not yet seen the new Beauty and the Beast movie, and I do want to see it. I think it'll be really cool.
Yeah, I do too.
Anyways,
actually.
I know. And but I found out that it is not a reboot. This is a sequel. Like, this is just the next Mary Poppins movie.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Okay,
because
I have just turned 180 degrees on this Mary Poppins movie.
Yeah, I know, right? Maybe like 160 degrees, because I wasn't like fully against it before, but now I'm very on board.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Because here's the deal. There's a bunch of Mary Poppins books.
Are there?
Yeah, man. This was not like a one-off book. I don't remember exactly how many there are, but there's at least, I want to say like 6 or 7 books.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, like they were around for a while. Okay, sorry, I actually just looked it up. It's 8, but there's 8 books.
Wow.
They were published holy crap, they were published over the course of like 50 years.
Good heavens.
54 years? That's crazy.
Dude,
but anyways...
I always love it when I find out that there is a whole book series of something that I thought was literally one thing. Like, I remember the moment, like, this was a long time ago, but I remember the moment that I found out that there are, like, 30 books in the Wizard of Oz series.
Oh, yeah, there's a ton of them. Like, L. Frank Baum went crazy. There's so many of those books. But yeah, there's a bunch of Mary Poppins books, and I don't know if I read all of them, but I read a bunch of them, and they're really, really good. So as much as I do genuinely like love the Disney movie, there is one thing that is weird about it. So, you know, in the movie, Mary Poppins is like sweet and loving, and she like shows up and she like teaches like weird, like stern banker dad how to like love his children, right?
Yeah, like she's not going to take anybody's guff, but she is like, you know, she is a caring person.
Yeah. In the books, the like not taking guff element is like cranked to 11. Like Mary Poppins is not like a nice, like she's very like loving in her way and like responsible because she like cares about the kids and is like taking good care of them. But Mary Poppins is like super stern and harsh like all the time.
That's awesome.
Like the boy who I can't remember his name, he's like, "Oh, Mary Poppins, like I've hurt me leg." And she's just like, "Well, don't be a whiner about it. Like, come over here, like, take your medicine and, like, bandage it up and, like, be a man about it." Like, maybe it's, like, not quite that much.
I was going to say, did
but
these
she's
movies
like this
take place in a war? Like, what are you talking about?
No, they just take place in, like, she's like a British governess. Like, she's just, like, super intense. But she is, and here's the best part, she is also, like, super magical. And so she will, like, do magic for the children, but she, like, refuses to make a big deal out of it. And also is, like, very grudging about making it happen. Like, they're great. The books are totally worth reading. So I'm hoping, we probably won't, but I am kind of hoping we get a little bit more of that side of Mary Poppins in the new movie.
That would be very fun. Dave, what is our fifth and final star of the week?
So it's not a huge deal, but it is something that's fun that I'm doing. I'm learning French. I'm learning French. Not like I got the Duolingo app is what I did.
Oh, nice.
I have the Duolingo app and I am doing French. I bought Rosetta Stone once when it was on like ultra sale like years ago, and it's too much of a pain. I have to like put it's a very good program, but I have to like go and like put on headphones and do a thing and blah, blah, blah. Whereas Duolingo is just like on my phone.
Right.
And I can just, I can do like 15 minutes of French a day. And I'm not like growing by leaps and bounds and stuff, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's a great way to learn French. I mean, it's not as good as a way of French as, say, moving to France and living there for like 8 or 9 months. But I know that not everybody has that opportunity.
Did you, Matt, did you live in France for 8 or 9? I had completely forgotten.
I know,
that you
right?
did that thing.
It's man. If you have forgotten about it, then I have got some great stories for you. This is perfect for me.
I did not forget, Matt.
This is perfect for me.
Matt, I did not forget.
No, I'm not paying attention.
I don't think anybody
forgot. I'm just going. Because I told you all my French stories years ago, and then I ran out of good stories, and I can't tell them to you anymore. But if you've forgotten all of them, let me okay. So sometimes they would cut their trees into squares. I don't know why. They would just like take all the branches and cut them into like a big cube shape, like they're in a Dr. Seuss book. That was weird, but they pretended it was normal.
What? Okay, Matt, this is not me joking. First of all, let me just say, I was giving you some static. I genuinely love hearing your stories about France.
Thank you.
But amazingly, I don't think you've ever mentioned that. What?
Oh, there was this one street in town where just like, there are like, tree-lined streets places.
Yeah, that's a thing.
But all the trees on this street were like regularly trimmed so that the shape of the like branches made like this giant cube. And like all of the parks, like everything was like very like purposely manicured. There were very little like natural looking things in the parks. I mean, okay, am I exaggerating this? Yes, of course I am. But it was not uncommon to see like extremely manicured things in a way that to me looked completely like storybook madness, and to the people around me was just like, yeah, that's what you do with a tree in a park. I don't know.
Well,
I could tell you some other French stories. Like my favorite bookstore was next to a clown-themed sandwich shop called Schmiblik.
What? I did not know that either.
Oh, dude, Schmiblik was delicious. I wish I could remember all the stuff that went on that sandwich, but I remember specifically there was just like fried up like potato bits on this sandwich. Man, it was... I gotta see if I can't find the description of that thing. And the only way that I can remember what it's called is that here's how I remember the names of things in Caen, which is where I lived in France, is in my memory, I kind of remember like how to get around town and like what streets to go down. and I remember
Okay.
kind of where things were. So I go to Google Maps and I go to Street View and I literally like walk around until I kind of find
Just like
what part of town it was in. I'm like, oh, the bookstore was called Memoranda. Yes. Like the cafe was upstairs and you had to go through like a trapdoor to get to it. It was very cool. Anyway, I could literally tell,
Matt.
Dave, I could literally tell friend stories for the next hour. So why don't we not do that? But instead,
right.
Instead, we will watch episode 25 of Ninja Sentai Kakuranger. It is called A New Departure, and we will be right back. Okay, so we have just finished watching episode 25 of Kakuranger, A New Departure. Dave, how do you feel about episode 1 of part 2 of Ninja Sentai Kakuranger? Because I'll tell you, I feel good.
I feel pretty good about it, dude.
Okay, so in case you had forgotten from when we talked about it last week, this is the beginning of the Youth Battle Saga.
Yeah.
And the Youth Battle Saga is starting off part 2 of the show by breaking up the Kakurangers into what looks like it's going to be 4 separate episodes.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Because what it is that each one of the Kakurangers has to find a hidden scroll. Like, they already have some, like, ninja magic scrolls that they've been using for, like, their various ninja techniques, but they've got to gear up. And this is, like, a pretty standard Super Sentai thing. Like, about halfway through the show, like, something happens and they get, like, next-level gear. And this is kind of the Kakuranger version of that.
Right, and it's been hidden hard and fast, because for a while we only had, you know, like those sort of basic-looking dudes. And I'm really glad, because I've kind of looked at what these new robots are going to look like, and up until this point, all of the giant robots have been just like human-shaped. And I think we're going to start getting away from that soon. I mean, we've already started to get away from it with Falcon Zord. That's not his name in this show. That's his name in a different show. His name in this show is... somebody called me out on saying it wrong a million times, and I'm going to try to say it right. Is it...
Super Samaru, right?
Yeah, see, basically, I had been saying it kind of as though I was just sort of slurring my way through the words Super Samurai, which is not right, but it has sort of like the right cadence.
It's got the ish, you know, yeah. So... here's where this episode starts out. It's the Youth Battle Saga, and we get like a quick shot of all the Rangers who have split up, except for some reason Seikai and Saizo, who are in Nekumaro with like a map and just like driving around aimlessly. But everybody else is split up. Like they are, you know, off in different parts of the country looking for their hidden scrolls.
By the way,
and this
any
episode,
shot that we get of Jiraiya is him like walking down the side of a highway with this sort of like army-style duffel bag like thrown over his shoulder in a very cool way. Just there's nothing important to the story about this. Just Jiraiya looks great every time we see him in this episode.
I dig, actually. It is a very... he seems more American? Is that crazy to say?
No,
like
it's
everybody
not
else
to
is.
say. It really does look that way. And it might just be
he's
because, like,
got a very...
like, I have that duffel bag.
But yeah, man, walk across, just walk in. There's a walking man. Walking man walks. And so,
listen, any other man
this
stops
episode...
and talks, but not the walking man. Walking man walks on by.
That is such a dumb song. So this episode, this is the Sasuke episode, and it takes place in the Nasukogan Highlands, which I assume is just like a mountainous region of Japan. And the establishing shot that we see is just, it's like up in the mountains. It's very sort of Alps-like. It's alpine. I said Alps-like as though there's not a word that means specifically that thing. It's very alpine. There's like flowers and like birds and butterflies. And like it's very peaceful and naturey. Yeah, it's naturey.
Now, Dave, when you say it is like peaceful and naturey with birds and butterflies and stuff, I want to be very clear about something. This is unnaturally like cutesy with birds and animals and such. Like someone has very clearly found a plot of land, like planted a bunch of very colorful flowers, shipped in some like adorable like bunnies and brightly colored birds and butterflies and set them on this hilltop to make it look like a storybook. It looks amazing. Like,
yeah, if this were a video game, you'd go past a secret, you'd have to like do a thing, like a side quest, and you would go past a secret door, and then like you would turn around and the door would be gone, but you would be here. That's what's happening.
Yeah. No, that is perfect.
Yeah, thank you. I felt really good about it when I said it. And the scroll, and to add to this concept of it being like a secret area of the game, the scroll is literally just sitting there. Like, it's just sitting on a rock where anybody could find it. So clearly, like, there's some sort of, like, ninja magic that is happening that, like, some scrub lord has not just, like, inadvertently found, like, the super powerful secret ninja scroll.
Yeah, because that would be a pretty bad hidden scroll. In that case, it would just be a scroll.
It's the scroll, it's just hanging out. But, like, all of the sort of magic equipment stuff that's in this show, it seems to be, like, semi-sentient somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And it shoots, like, this beam of light at a butterfly, and the butterfly turns into a young lady whose first words are, "I get to be human? Awesome."
Okay.
And then she jumps off the mountain and flies to the bottom of it just by, like, flapping her arms.
Now, that works if she is a butterfly, but her first words are, "I get to be a human now, that's great." And then she jumps off of a mountain, which, if she was just a human, this episode would end immediately and it would be horrible.
Yeah, if this were a very different show, she would have, like, forgotten that she's not a butterfly and just tumbled down the mountain. But she is.
I feel like that would happen in, like, a 90s Vertigo comic.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this would be like an issue. Like, if someone was trying
If Mark Miller wrote this show,
yes,
then that's what would have happened.
Exactly. Now, Dave, here is why I was super excited to see this lady appear. By the way, her name is Reika.
Yeah.
But her name in Zyuranger is Rin, and she's the Pink Ranger.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, this is the Petra Ranger from Zyuranger, the princess of the pterodactyl tribe.
Amazing.
Which I love.
So she actually...
Dude, I love anytime you get to see an actor from another show up. By the way, I missed one. One of our listeners mentioned this to me. Do you remember the episode where Jiraiya was, like, obsessed with a TV show about a samurai?
Yeah.
The guy who played the samurai in that TV show within the TV show was the guy who played Burai, the Green Ranger from Zyuranger.
Wow. Well, okay, I haven't seen Zyuranger, but crazy.
Dude, you should borrow my Zyuranger DVDs. Zyuranger is great.
I have every confidence that is true, Matt, but I have a very full TV watching schedule already.
Yeah, but it's...
And so I just...
Dave, listen, I just want you to know that it's waiting for you.
Okay, man, don't... I know it's good. I'm sure it's great. But I just... Don't tease me with things that I don't have time for. Okay, so it is. So
eventually Legends of Tomorrow has to go on hiatus, and then you've got 50 episodes of Zyuranger in your pocket.
So, okay, good to know. But before this girl jumps off a mountain and magically does not die, she actually does say something really quickly. She says, "Oh, awesome. That means I must be the one who's supposed to go get Sasuke." So, like, whatever's going on here, she clearly has been imbued with sentience along with, like, a mission. She knows, she's like, I have been turned into a human to go do this thing. Like, the hidden scroll knows that Sasuke is looking for it and has sent Reika to, like, fetch him to come get it, the hidden scroll.
Yeah, so she's flying along and she sees Sasuke on his motorcycle, like, driving through the countryside. And says, like, "Oh, great, that must be him. Like, cool, I'll go help him. He looks like a fun, cute boy. Like, Not only do I have a
also,
magical
he's super
mission,
handsome.
but this will be like a fun day for me.
And so she immediately, before this happened, or before she manages to like land and get in touch with Sasuke, there's lightning, and then darkness, and then like a phantom of Young Noble Jr. appears, and then the girl lands. Sasuke gets ready to fight, but like it's too late. Young Noble Jr. just says, guys, like the best part about his attitude is that he's like, I know what you're doing, right? Like you realize that this isn't I know you're looking for the hidden scrolls. I'm gonna stop you.
Yeah, like I'm a giant floating evil head in the sky. I know what you're up to. Here's some red lightning. Get dunked. I'll catch you guys later.
And that's pretty much what happens. He just gets blasted, and then Sasuke like rolls down the hill. Like he doesn't get a chance to fight. It's just lightning, and then Sasuke goes down and gets blasted down this hill. Now, Reika, we don't know her name yet, but her name is Reika. So Reika, the next thing we see is that she has found him at like the bottom of the ravine, and she is tending to his wounds, by which I mean she has put a leaf on his forehead and is like stroking his forehead, I think. Like that's basically what she's doing. But she is tending to him, and then he sort of like wakes up and it's like, because he doesn't know who she is, like obviously.
Right. What is great about the first half of this episode is that Reika Reika is acting as though like, oh, of course, like we have this plan and I'm supposed to do this thing. She has not stopped to fill Sasuke in on anything. Like he is totally lost and trying to figure out what is happening sort of on the fly. So she says, oh yeah, sure. The scroll told me to come help you. Hold on a second. She does like a little like zappy move. A wound that was on his leg just disappears completely. He's like, all right, now it is time to go.
So the next scene opens up, and we see Reika and Sasuke on his motorcycle, and they're just driving, and he's thinking to himself, does she really know what's up? Like, this is very weird, and I know she says she knows, but does she really know? And then Reika answers him out loud, yeah, of course I know. I totally know where the scroll is. It's very rude that you would even ask that question. And he's just like, flips. He's like, do you have telepathy? Can you read minds? And she's like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't I? I'm a magical butterfly lady. I mean, you don't know that yet, but it's true.
Right. And she's like, I've never been on a motorcycle. Go faster. So she is like, the thing that we're going to see from these next like 6 or 7 minutes is that she is just super stoked about being a human. And she is so enchanted by the human world that she completely forgets her mission. Because she's like, oh, turn in here. And they pull up to, it says it's a dairy farm, but it's a dairy farm / like,
amusement
like
park.
They weren't making enough money doing dairy stuff. And so they have also opened up a number of just amusement park things.
You know, that's legit. I'm sure that this is a real place. They did not like build this.
Oh
set.
yeah, like right, yeah. This is very obviously a real thing that exists. So she like pulls in and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, I've always wanted to come here, Sasuke, come on!" And she like runs in and she runs up to the mascot and is like, "I am so excited to meet." I'm making it sound like she's younger than she is. She knows that it's a mascot. She's just stoked about it.
Okay, here's the thing.
She like runs up.
Is that Reika? Like, what's great about her is that she does a really good job of playing a butterfly that has been magically transformed into a human. Like, she's very childlike the whole way through. And so, like, yeah, she's just super stoked to, like, go meet this, like, mascot dude. Like, yes, there's a man in a giant bear costume. It's amazing. I love it.
And so she's running around, and then we just get a montage of shots where Sasuke is just doing, like, everything she wants. And he keeps thinking, like, every new thing, he is asking it first, like, so we're going to get this scroll, right? So the first thing she wants to do is paddleboat ride. So they're out on the paddleboat together, and Sasuke's like, is the scroll in the middle of the lake? And she says, no.
Well, what she says is, no, of course not.
Of course not. He's like, well, then why are we here? And she's like, I always wanted to do paddle boats, dude. I just think they're cool. And so here's other things they do. They go on a paddle boat ride. She goes on the go-karts. They take a train ride, like a novelty train ride. She does a pony ride. They get ice cream, and they go see cheese production.
Yes, they go to the cheese production room.
And in all of these things, Sasuke is getting like increasingly exasperated because he's just waiting for all of this stuff to be done until like it's like, God, I do need this hidden scroll.
And eventually,
so he
kind of breaks down. He's like, listen, clearly, like, you have somehow tricked me. Like, you found out that I was looking for a scroll. Maybe you heard the giant head in the sky say it. I don't know. And you have conned me into, like, dragging you around all day so you can enjoy paddle boats and pony rides. But I have, a job, and I need to go do it. So I guess goodbye forever.
Yeah, I do think that Sasuke has forgotten that Reika is telepathic.
And did magically heal the wound on his leg, yes.
Yeah, she magically healed his leg and also can read your mind. So, like, maybe there's a little more going on, Sasuke. But Reika, she gets this news. She's devastated. She's very confused. Because Sasuke's like, you don't even know where the scroll is. And she says, no, I absolutely know where it is. Like, I don't want you to hate me. All of my friends, and this is what she says, all of my friends in the woods love you and are waiting for you to arrive. And then Sasuke becomes even more confused.
Yeah, she's like, wait a second, your friend in the woods? Like, what forest pals do you have?
Like, what are you talking about? And she says, well, listen, Sasuke, there are many creatures in the world, and there are many weak creatures. And they are also doing their best to survive. And you, Sasuke, must protect them. Like, you have to protect all the weak creatures of the world.
Right, like, not just the humans. Like, there are birds and, like, animals and bugs. And, like, all of those things are also alive and need your protection.
Flowers, yeah.
And so, like, those things all, like, love you and want you to, like, come and chill.
So let's go. And so he is about to respond, and then they are attacked by flags, is what it looks like. Just like long pieces of cloth. It's very, I don't know. It's like an amateur magician got super angry at them, and that's what it looks like.
Well, it kind of looks like a scene we saw in a recent episode of Power Rangers Ninja Steel.
Yes! Okay, thank you. I was trying to figure out I had seen something just like this, and it does look a lot like that, yeah.
Which, if you did not listen to the episode where we were on Ranger Danger talking Ninja Steel, one of those Power Rangers has, like, legit wizard magic powers, but does, like, weird illusion, like, stage magic stuff, and at one point wrapped up a dude in a bunch of scarves. And that's kind of what's happening.
It's actually pretty great. So they are, they get attacked, and it turns out this week's yokai is Itan Momen. And Itan Momen he just says, I'm the number one killer among all the yokai. And they don't really explain what his deal is, except that he used to appear in rice fields and strangle people to death with, like, cloth.
And what's great is when he says this, because the narrator is not in this episode, so Ethan Moan, when he arrives, he just looks. I mean, like, he's got a monster head, so, like, he's not, like, using his eyes to look. But he faces the camera and addresses as, like, hey, you kids watching on TV right now, check it out. This is my whole deal.
It's pretty amazing.
Oh, and also, he's on a motorcycle, and also, he refers to everyone as baby. And so I'm getting...
Love it.
Like, listen, this guy is not...
very strong.
He's not General Kamikaze from Die Ranger, but I'm getting Kamikaze vibes off of him because of the motorcycle and saying baby all the time, and I love it. This guy doesn't have a whole lot going on this episode, but those things really endear him to me.
Yeah, so the fight starts, and Reika, she's like, Sasuke says, Reika, you've got to get out of here. I'm going to take care of this. And Reika says, no, I will also fight. And I assumed because she was a butterfly lady that was like a setup for her about to be jacked, and she was not kidding. She is like throwing down, and then she like summons mystical daggers. I mean, they just look like daggers, but she just like kind of gets them out of nowhere, and she's just like stabbing Toros. I was like, whoa! Reika!
Yeah, it is at this moment that if you had forgotten what I said earlier, you remember, like, oh yeah, she was the Pink Ranger in a different series. Like, she knows what's up.
Yeah, so I was admittedly like a little prejudiced. I was like, yeah, sure, Butterfly Lady, but she's like wrecking Dorodoros. Pretty amazing. So Itan Momen like strangles them, and then they sort of like get away, and they're still fighting, and then they're surrounded by Dorodoros, and Itan Momen is on the other side of the screen, or like field or whatever, and they're about to kind of rejoin this fight, and Reika looks over and she sees a rabbit that is like, the rabbit's on the other side of the field. I think the rabbit actually probably would have been fine, but she spazzes out. And so she runs over to try and save, I guess, the rabbit. And in this moment, Itan Momen is like, she dropped her guard. Blast her. And they blast her.
So she goes down, and Sasuke runs over to like grab her to kind of sort of get her away from the fight. And they escape away into like an adjoining barn, like a barn that is near this field. And it's full of adorable cows. We get a couple of shots of those cows. They're very cute if you like cute cows.
Yeah, they are. Cows are pretty cute. And so
lying there, and she is like grievous, or acting as though she is grievously wounded. And Sasuke is thinking, like, why is she acting this way? She barely got hit. This is not a like major injury.
Yeah, it is weird. And Sasuke is very confused. And so he's like, are you cool? And she says, well, remember what I was saying about there being a bunch of weak creatures in the world? Well, that's still true, I guess.
Yeah, she reminds him that she had said this, but she doesn't go into like a lot more detail. But of course, we know that she is actually like a butterfly in person shape. So she's just not that tough.
Yeah, the thing that she does say is she says, it doesn't take much to kill them. Like, they're very weak. And so you have to be careful. And so Itan Momen and Doros like sort of run into the barn, and then he sort of, like picks her up and they run outside. And then they're out in a field and they're totally alone. He's a ninja. You did like a ninja escape, whatever,
right.
Dave.
And maybe she's using magic, because they seem to be, like, as they are running away from this fight, they're getting into, like, more and more sort of, like, idyllically magical places. Like, this is a beautiful field that also just has, like, a white horse walking around in the background.
Oh my gosh. I was like, is that, yup. It's just like a white horse, and there's some rabbits chilling, and then, like, some parakeets, which is a little bit weird, but whatever. And so Reika is like kind of lying in his lap, and she's very clearly dying. And she says, listen, you have to go get the scroll. Like, you have to go get the scroll and like go do this thing. And she points at a mountain on the horizon. Like, this mountain is experiencing, like, blue shit. Like, the mountain looks blue through all the atmosphere that is between them and it. This mountain is miles away. Just to be clear.
That's not going to matter. Because, like, in practice, it is a quick 2-minute walk away. But just keep that in mind when you are thinking about how fast Sasuke moves while he is doing his karate.
So there's, like, this operatic singing going on in the background as Reika is dying. She looks up at him and says, Sasuke, your scroll is to protect the weak. Like, this is, like, your scroll has a specific, like, all of your scrolls have like a thing that they do, and yours is to protect the weak. And Sasuke, in a real callous moment, just like kind of jumps up and is like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go get it. And she says, hold up, could you please stay with me? Could you please stay with me?
Right.
This is a very serious moment.
Well, because I feel like, to give Sasuke a little credit, I feel like perhaps he does not quite realize how frail Reika is. And he thinks, I'm going to leave you here, go get the scroll, and then come back. Not realizing that, like, she is a butterfly person and she got zapped with a like evil laser and she is not long for this world.
Yeah. He clearly does not get that. And so she goes, she's like, I'm sad this is happening, but I had such a wonderful time. Like, I had a good time today. You know, like, Sasuke, you were so great. You're going to do a great job. Blah, blah, blah. I would like to point out Reika. Not to speak ill of the dead. But Reika, had you just taken Sasuke to the scroll rather than spending the entire day at a family fun farm, maybe...
Well, sure.
Maybe would not be in this situation.
Yes, okay, now that's fair. But on the other hand, if she hadn't gone to that family fun farm, she would have never gotten to shake the mascot's hand. Oh, dude, okay, we did not mention this. It's in my notes, though, and I want to say it because I do not want to...
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot!
So, when, near the end of the time that they were at the family fun farm, as Sasuke is just gearing up to tell her, like, why he is annoyed, she looks at him and says, "Why are you so upset?" "Oh, I know what it is. It's because the mascot shook my hand and not yours." And it's just this beautiful little moment of, like, her being, like, this perfect, like, childlike character. I loved it. I really loved it. If we were doing high and low points this season, I'm not sure that would have made the high point, but it would be in the running.
So, so we get a couple shots of, like, the animals. We see the white horse, and then a rabbit, and again, then the parakeets. And then Reika dies. Sort of. Like, she doesn't, like, die. She
becomes one with the force.
She's totally dead. Yeah. She sort of, like, disappears, and there's, like, a little sparkly glitter, and then Sasuke is very confused, and then he looks down, and he sees her dead butterfly form. And he's like, he picks that up, and then that also becomes one with the force. It's like a two-step process. And then we get some, like, rage crying from Sasuke. If you watch any of the Super Sentai series, this is a very standard emotion. Like, I think it's gotta be part of the audition process. Like, how well can you blend, like, power rage with deep sadness and just do those both at the same time? Because if you can't,
it's just not going to work
that off, it's just not being a Power Ranger or a Super Sentai.
Yeah, especially as a Red Ranger,
is beyond you.
Like, you might be able to get away with not being able to do that if you're like a Blue Ranger or a Yellow Ranger or something. But if you're a Red Ranger and you can't, like, grimace and cry at the same time, then you are out.
You're out. You just can't do it, friend. I'm real sorry. We all have gifts in this world, and this ain't yours. So it's on now, right? It's on. Sasuke is, like, rage cry karateing. And so he starts running. And then we get maybe my favorite moment in this episode.
Oh, dude.
It lasts for, like, a half a second.
It's so good.
But Sasuke is attacked by Dorodoros in, like, attack go-karts.
I think that they're the same go-karts that we saw earlier in the episode at the family fun farm. Like, they're just been chasing him the whole time when they stopped there to, like, hijack some go-karts, and they've been driving after him this whole time. But it took them a while to get there because go-karts don't go very fast.
So he dives out of the way, and he's good. And then Itan Moment attacks, and then, like, there's just, like, a hot second, and then the music changes, and the music gets, like, way more intense. It's, like, very clearly power-up music. And Sasuke says, "This earth is for every living creature," like, as he's fighting. I do just want to point out, technically, yokai are also alive. So, just saying. And he's, like, fighting as this, like, internal monologue is happening, and he's like, "The earth is for every living creature. I will defeat you." And so there's a bunch of fighting. And then the next scene is Sasuke, like popping up the side of the mountain, and he's, like, 10 feet away from the hidden scroll.
Dude, the power of his rage and karate has brought him a number of miles in, like, 3 seconds.
And I mean, like, Liz, I don't know why I care, because he's like a magical ninja superhero. Dude can teleport, like, whatever. I want, like, the 3 seconds where he just, like, does his hand sign and then, like, disappears and then reappears at the mountain and then keeps running.
But Dave,
that's all I want.
If they took the 3 seconds of that to put in the show, they wouldn't have had an additional 3 seconds to show Reika on horseback, and they desperately needed that. They spent the money They spent the money to rent the family fun farm, Dave. They needed to get their money out of it.
We needed to know how much that magical butterfly girl loves horses. So
he is on the hillside. He is like steps away from grabbing the hidden scroll when suddenly Itan Moman shows up again, like in between him and the scroll, and is like, no way, buddy. I am here to stop you. It is literally my one job.
Yeah. So he blasts Sasuke. Sasuke kind of goes flying. Itan Momen, in a good move, not messing around, just immediately goes giant. And then once he goes giant, he does like his 2 hands have been replaced, and one is like a futuristic, like prongy laser blaster, and then the other one is just a straight up Gatling gun.
It's good. It's very good.
Yeah, it's a good look. It's like Itan Momen Heavy Arms style.
It is very Heavy Arms.
It is very Heavy Arms, right? And so he does like a bunch of blasts, and he's like shooting the woods Dave, with like lasers and Gatlings.
Those are some of my favorite kinds of blasts.
Yeah, well, Matt, I majored in English and I'm an English teacher, and so a really key part of that is zeroing in on efficient and descriptive communication.
Hey, brevity is the soul of wit.
I think I nailed it here. So he's getting nuts with like his blasty blast, and he's like setting the woods on fire and all of this stuff.
Sasuke looks around at the woods that are on fire, and he sees like the squirrels and rabbits and birds all running away because their like beautiful like hilltop retreat is being destroyed, and he gets even more furious.
Yeah, even more rage crying. So angry. He says, I can't allow this. And so he super henges. And then we see giant Itan Momen, and he does like an energy blast into the woods. And I just want to say, way to go, Super Sentai special effects team from like 20 odd years ago. Because those energy blast effects are getting way better.
Dude, they looked awesome. There's another shot in here that is like obviously a camera trick, but
it's a good.
As this fight is going, like until he's able to get to the scroll, the fight is person-sized Sasuke versus giant-sized Itan Moman. And so Itan Moman just kicks him.
But there's a really, like, they do a very cool perspective shot where, like, it's clearly overlaid, but you see, like, it's way down on the ground, and Itan Momen, like, kicks dirt into the camera, and then they, like, superimpose Sasuke over the dirt, like, getting knocked back. It's a real cool shot. And so, Sasuke is just, it's amazing. He just, like, jumps up, first of all, and, like, stabs Itan Momen, and it can't do much damage.
But what's cool is,
but then he
jumps up, so first of all, he jumps, 100 feet in the air.
Many feet.
And when he's, like, level with Itan Moman's head, he does his, like, finishing move, the full moon cut, and just hits him right in the forehead. Which, Itan Moman is giant, but that's still a hard hit. It's going to knock him back a little.
Yeah, just square in the dome. It's rad. And so he doesn't summon the Jusho fighter, obviously, but, like, once he staggers Itan Momen, it gives him a second. He lands. He grabs the hidden scroll, and he, like, pulls it out, and it's Super Ninja Beast God Saruder.
Yes.
And then God Saruder, appears. And I was like a little disappointed with God Saruder. I really wanted him to look more ape-like.
Okay, so God Saruder looks kind of like the other versions of Saruder. Except that he's got more sort of like a
schnazzier.
He's got like a crown and a beard, and he's got 2 swords, and he looks a little more ornate.
Yes.
So as I understand it, like these robots coming up now are going to combine into Kakuranger Daishogun.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, a we don't write things. A listener pointed out to me that Kakure just means hidden. So like Kakuranger is hidden ranger, and Kakure Daishogun means like the hidden great general or whatever.
Oh, that's rad. Yeah, nice.
So, but they come together more like what we think of as a traditional like Megazord. So this one is more human shaped, like all of the other previous ones, because he's like the Red Ranger and sort of like the core of the body. But the other ones, I think, are going to be more like animal shaped.
All right, well, that's rad. And so there is kind of a weird line, maybe it just gets translated weirdly. So Gansaruder appears, and he, like Muteki Shogun and Subasamaru, is like sentient, at least to some degree. And he says, "Sasuke, I've been waiting for you. Now get inside me," which is just... It's
maybe
just
a translation hiccup, but then he does say, "From now on, you and I are one," which is pretty great.
It does not make the moment any less. A little awkward.
Well, let's move right on then, because they get in a little fight, right? Like, God Saruder versus Itan Moman, they're fighting for a couple of seconds, and then...
Yeah, not long. Well, hold up. I do want to say real quickly, Matt, I'm sorry, I could hear you building, but I do want to point out that God Saruder is apparently like Kryptonian. There's like Kryptonian technology. This is how he's controlled. Because, like, you just see Sasuke, and there's, like, a big bank of glowing crystals.
Oh,
and this is how,
sorry, I was trying to figure out where you're going with that, but that's absolutely true.
Yeah, thank you. So anyways, Matt, why don't you just start your sentence over so we get the full drama of your building tone here.
I don't know, you go ahead, because you are better at pronouncing the actual name of the Falcon Zord.
Yeah, so Gansaruder and Itan Momen are fighting, it's literally for, like, 3 or 4 seconds. And then Subasamaru just flies up, and Muteki Shogun appears. And it's like, guys, you maybe could have given Sasuke, like, a second. Like, the fact that they showed up that quickly is, like, I don't know, like, slightly insulting?
Yeah,
like,
but...
he could have gotten it, guys.
Listen,
come on.
On the other hand, Subasamaru is a new... Yeah. It's a new toy, as is the Super Muteki Shogun.
Good point.
Which we are about to see them combine into. They've only been in a few episodes so far, and I'm sure that they need to move that merchandise.
So they do form Super Muteki Shogun, and before God Saruda has a chance to do anything, Super Muteki Shogun just drops Muteki Shogun full discharge and blasts Itan Momen. Now there is a cool moment where so we said before God Saruda has like 2 swords. It's not like 2 swords, it's just 2 swords. Yeah. And he joins them into a Darth Maul style double sword.
It's a good move.
Yeah, you can't see it, Matt, but of course I did the move. I like put my hands together and twisted them, and then I like...
Sure, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Had a phantom... Yeah, of course. And so he does like a cool jump slash move. And he jump slashes Itan Momen. Itan Momen goes down. So that's it for Itan Momen.
So that is like God Saruder's finishing move. It's called like the twin sword cut. And there's like lightning bolts involved. It's very good.
Yeah, it's rad. So Itan Momen, dead. Not much of a villain after all, it turns out. So our next scene is Sasuke. He is at the lake across from the family fun farm.
And he's remembering Reika. And sort of like he sees her like face in the sky. Like, Reika. Like, I will never forget the things that you told me and like what my job is. I promise I'll always protect like the little guy. It's not just humans that I'm looking out for. It's every living thing on the earth. Like, yes, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, and then she gives him like a little nod like, hey...
I'm super dead, but my memory is nodding at you. Have a good life.
So then he sort of looks down at his friendship bracelet, and he thinks of the other the other Kakurangers, and he sort of is like, he says their names. He's like, Tsuruhime, Seikai, Saizo, Jiraiya. And you sort of get a quick montage of all of them.
Jiraiya's still walking down that highway, still carrying that duffel bag.
Yep.
He's like, it's up to you guys now. Like, go through your trials, and like, we will also succeed.
Yeah, and then there's a slow, sad trumpets version of the final theme song. I know I said last episode that they were doing a different version of the final theme, and it was actually the opening theme. This time it is 100% like the do-ro, 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 dun, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. But it's like a slow minor key version. It's pretty incredible. And then that's it, man.
Yeah, that is the episode.
That's all we got. So, good episode, man. I am excited to sort of see, A, more giant robots. Love it.
Always good.
And B, I'm really excited to see, like, 4, well, it'd be 5, I guess, like, really character-centric episodes in a row. Because those are always, I think, some of the best episodes. We really get a chance to see these characters and, like, what they're up to. And so I'm looking forward to getting that for Kakuranger.
I'm excited about meeting the new robots. I'm excited about them getting the scrolls and finding out what each individual, like, scroll's, like, mission statement is.
Yes.
That checks a lot of boxes for me. I'm really into it. Dude, I loved this episode. Itan Momen wasn't much of a monster, but for sort of like a background character that kind of just exists to, like, get in fights. He was on a motorcycle, he broke the fourth wall, and he called everybody baby. So, like, he's not going to rank super high probably on the Creature Royale, but,
no.
Like, if I'm, we've got a couple of categories on the Creature Royale that we don't always get into depth on, but one of them is X Factor, just sort of like, do I like this dude? And if I'm just judging it based on that, I liked that dude.
I do like that dude.
Rin is in the episode, not Rin. Like, Rin is not her name in this show.
Yes, no, I got you.
I always love seeing an actor or actress from a different tokusatsu series show up. So that was a big high point. This was just a really fun episode. A nice strong start for the second half.
Yeah, really, really good. So, real quickly, Matt, where does Itan Momen go on the Creature Royale here?
Okay. He's
got a good vibe. I dig him. I actually sort of feel like he was kind of wasted in this episode. I feel like they could have picked a cooler episode to put him in.
Yeah, the thing is, because
I like his
vibe.
vibe.
Him, it was about Reika. Really, he was just in it.
So he's got a cool look. I like his vibe.
I'll tell you what. Okay, what are other monsters that have been sort of wasted, and how do we feel about this guy in comparison to them?
Okay, so Tengu from actually earlier in Kakuranger, I feel like was really wasted. That's a very cool character.
What was the dude in Die Ranger? He was a cannon, and his head was a bullet, but he only had one bullet.
Sergeant Cannon.
Sergeant Cannon. Where is Sergeant Cannon on the list?
Sergeant Cannon is, like, really low.
Oh, yeah?
It's like, yeah, Sergeant Cannon is 50, slot 50.
Oh, gosh. No, this guy's way better than that.
Yeah, well, Tengu is slot 44, or 43, rather. And once we get past him, we're getting up into, like, Four Kings of Heaven, Urikabe, which is the wall monster, Kappa and Rokurokubi, Traffic Light Dimension, Bakaneko, Kanagama, which is the slot machine monster. I don't like him as much as any of those.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I am inclined to like this guy, but really it's just because he's a dime store general kamikaze.
Yeah,
and, I like that guy fun, so much that this dude is, like,
getting some reflected glory.
I mean, honestly, I would not be surprised if I found out that it was the same, like, suit or voice actor who had done General Kamikaze. Because, like,
yeah, that would make sense to me.
How many dudes are qualified to wear a suit that looks like that while riding a motorcycle?
It cannot be a long list.
And especially since these were, like, 1 year after the other. And he does also say baby. It's gotta be a nod to Kamikaze, right?
It's gotta be. Okay, Matt, so here's the question.
I cannot rank him that high just because I like General Kamikaze. General Kamikaze is already on the list.
So, Matt, question. Better or worse than Amazing Character Find of 2016, Energy Butt?
Energy Butt doesn't ride a motorcycle, dude.
Okay, so Cooler than Energy Butt. Is he cooler than Tengu?
Okay. Now, I was going to say, now, Tengu does get all of those crazy, like, robot parts from...
He does.
The professor. What's his name? Dr.
Yagami.
Thank you. I was the only name that I can think of was Professor Jensen, who I think was from the Iron Man's
I was about to say Dr. Iron Man, but...
You know the one.
Yes.
But on the other hand, Itan Momen does get a Gatling gun hand when he gets a giant, and that's basically the same.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So...
And Tengu had the recreated monsters from the first couple of episodes as his minions, but Itan Momen had Dorodoros in go-karts as his minions, and I think that's actually better. Like, I think that's actually a lot better.
Let's jump it up, Matt. Is he better than the Tofu Hermit?
No, he's not.
Who got in a drunken boxing match. Okay. Cooler than Konakijiji, the doll monster from earlier in Kakuranger? Yeah, tough, right?
Maybe not more radical, but... I'm sorry. He's definitely more radical than Konakijiji. Konakijiji, I think, was a better character. He had, like, a full arc in that episode.
Okay, but I think he is cooler than Faucet Dimension, we can say. Yes?
Yeah, so let's put him at slot number 42 in between Konakijiji and the Faucet Dimension.
Bam, done.
I like it a lot.
Well, I think that's going to do it for us then, man, right?
Yep, that is going to do it for another episode of A View to a Kakuranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. If you wanted to get any updates on future episodes or check out the things we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, and I hope that you do, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Please rate and review and subscribe on there. That's what's going to help new people find the show. If you've already done that, I thank you heartily. The Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. To find all the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, find them at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.